Let's go. All right. Hey, let's start. Hey, guys.
All right. Where did they race this weekend?
Oh, cool. Let's start that.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, for the love of God. Welcome to the Money Lap.
I kind of look up mid-taco bite.
You don't know disappointment. Talking all things motorsports by two real drivers.
I appreciate being called a gritty driver.
With many, many years of experience.
We've had to do that other people didn't want to do.
The most dedicated host in the motorsports podcast world.
Weren't we supposed to have somebody come on our show as a guest?
No, we did it.
Did we?
Yes.
Yes, for our 1 year anniversary.
And we definitely know what we're doing.
Remember, talk through your mic.
I'm talking past it like this.
Well, if you just pointed it differently. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh.
Never mind.
Let's
the
talk about
standout
race
is
cars. God's
This
sakes.
is our worst show ever.
Hello, welcome to Money Lap. I'm Parker Kligerman, joined as always by my good friend, Landon Cassill, who is 1 year older as of yesterday. This is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Landon, it was your birthday. I know you don't love birthdays, so I'm not even going to ask you how it went. All I want to know is, do you have any words of wisdom for people now that you are 1 year older than you were a year ago?
Ooh, any words of wisdom? I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't know. I just
Life changing.
I'm just so stoic around birthdays. I'm so stoic around birthdays.
Were you reading the Stoicism book?
What is there a stoicism book?
Yeah. Ryan Holiday does it, I want to say.
What is
It's a
it?
good book. Worth checking out. He has some nice points you can learn from Marcus Aurelius in Stoicism. We're going to talk.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any words of wisdom right now.
Okay.
Just keep living your life, loving people.
Wow. This might change people's lives or change
Loving
no
life.
one's, probably.
Yeah, take responsibility.
There you go. That's a good wisdom. I love that. Speaking of responsibility, that was a topic this past weekend in the NASCAR world. We'll dive into that. We're going to talk F1 and the best race of the year, possibly in a while, from Silverstone. We have a little bit of Indycar and a whole host of other great things we're going to dive into, Landon, which is fun. And that's what people can expect here on this Money Lap, Tuesday, July 8th.
I do have some advice for you, though.
Oh, what's that?
If you're looking for quality diecast at a massive selection, check out spoilerdiecast.com. This is a group that is crushing it so much that we have moved the ad read into an earlier part of the show. They're one of the fastest growing diecast at racing merch companies out there, and for good reason, Parker, because they ship
Please go
same
on.
or next day. Your order is not sitting in limbo forever. They are moving through orders all day, every day. Massive selection, over 1,900 products in stock, mostly NASCAR, a little bit like us, but they got some dirt, sprint cars, IndyCar, F1, which we'll talk about later, best F1 race of the year. Right now, they're offering free shipping on orders over $100, and you get a free NASCAR t-shirt of a random driver. Just comment your preferred size in the notes. That is the promo we are running in June. They have yet to send me an email, which tells me they haven't listened to the show in a couple weeks.
How dare they?
So we're just gonna keep that promo going. We might run them broke. We might run them out of t-shirts if they weren't prepared to go into July with this promo. Use
We're gonna
promo
keep
code
running
MONEYLAP.
Hey, start printing new ones, baby.
Yeah. Use promo code MONEYLAP. Hopefully these just weren't overflow t-shirts. You're gonna print some new ones. Use promo code MONEYLAP. Any orders over $100 get a free t-shirt. Just comment your size. Take advantage of that free shipping while it lasts until we change it to something else.
Bam.
SpoilerDiecast.com.
That's some real wisdom right there. SpoilerDiecast.com. Check them out. That's the place to go. For all your diecast needs and racing merch, they're good buddies, good people. Let's talk the NASCAR Cup Series. I want to start with the pre-race show, in that obviously my second week with TNT here, which is a lot of fun. In the pre-race show, I did see some comments though on Reddit. I do like to peruse Reddit, as people on Reddit know. Josh and I were laughing about this earlier. There was a a couple of comments that really made me chuckle. One said, not to mention Parker was off the rails in the pre-race show. Like, what was that? Lol. And this person said they're clearly trying to go for some inside the NBA energy with all the Photoshop memes and clowning around. Everyone get ready for several more weeks of Jamie Shack and Charles Parkley.
Okay.
I don't know what to say other than I'm glad to see it. That's the type of comments I love to see. Means we're changing the game. So we'll keep it rolling. Thanks for watching. That was Karate Drummer and Baby Cakes Murphy. We appreciate you watching and commenting. And tune in next week for more special stuff from Jamie Shack and Charles Parkley. Let's talk about the race, though. Shane van Gisbergen dominates the weekend, wins poles in both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. It was an incredibly hot weekend there. I mean, when I mean hot, I mean it was walk outside and immediately start sweating type of heat, let alone how hot it was probably in those race cars. The track had far less grip than years past because of that. We saw that for sure on Saturday with the lap times being far slower than they were a year prior. There was, some things that probably change with the street course and sort of the how dynamic street courses are in terms of
Like
grip
walls
levels
moved a
and
little
change.
bit. And
Yeah, is there a truck that drove by and oiled down half the course? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
The place is a real steady street up until a week prior, right?
yeah.
So that it was still though SVG's playground. He absolutely dominated, and overall, pretty, entertaining race on Sunday. But there was some weird suspect officiating calls. One was the 21 of Josh Berry spins in turn 7, hits the inside wall, moves the barrier, and yet NASCAR waited a long period of time to throw the caution, which was odd considering I felt like the barrier moving would be a clear indication that it should be a caution. And to give this some context, on Saturday, we had a few cautions where it was after the car had driven away from the incident, they would throw the caution because they had to repair the tire barriers, right? In a couple corners.
Mhm.
And I actually asked NASCAR about this on Sunday morning when we do our competition meeting with them. And I just said, hey, what's the deal with that? Like, what's the protocol for how much a barrier has moved or that sort of thing? And their big answer was just basically around that wrapping around the tire barriers, where if it's moved, they've got to put that back in position. Which then when Josh Berry hit the wall, it was a little odd that how long they waited for the caution to happen, even though he was kind of able to move his car to a safer spot. The wall hadn't obviously been moved, so it didn't go back into place. So that was an odd one. And then we got towards the end of the race, and Shane van Gisbergen is leading with a large lead. Cody Ware goes into the tire barrier in turn 6, which was pretty far under the tire barrier, and the caution didn't come out till roughly 35 seconds later, which SVG was across the line. Had they thrown it at the first sight of that car being the barrier that we saw on the broadcast, it obviously would have went into overtime, which I am a fan of letting a race play out naturally for sure. I just think it kind of went against protocol of what we've seen in the past. And under further investigation, we got to see how severe the impact was for Cody Ware. And, with the speed he went into that barrier and how intense that hit was, it probably necessitated a caution immediately.
Mhm.
Thoughts?
There's a lot to unpack there, but thank you for
Yeah, I kind of just said
going through
lay of the
everything.
land.
Yeah, lay of the land. So, first question, is it possible that NASCAR being a street course and, a temporary course and, new TV partners and all that stuff, that like the NASCAR's visibility of the course is different or more challenged to be able to catch these things? I mean, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but like, is it possible that they just, there's an extra step there to be able to see everything the way they normally would see it or need to see it?
Well, not to bring up a sore subject, personally, just for myself, but the Roval 24, obviously I learned a lot about NASCAR officiating and how they decide to throw a caution or not. They've made it very clear to me they do not watch the TV broadcast. That is not part of the camera sets they use. Now, they'll use their cameras, but they don't watched. The
Well, that's what I
broadcast
meant
specifically.
by
Yeah.
cameras. I didn't mean the broadcast, but I meant like
Well, they said their statement afterwards from Elton Sawyer was basically they saw the incident, but they thought maybe he had a chance to back it out of there, which they had done a couple times to allow
Which
cars to back out.
means they
But-
didn't see the incident.
But they didn't see
because
it.
if you would
Yeah,
have
because they
watched
obviously-
the incident happen, you
If you see a car going head on into a barrier at 100 miles an hour to a direct stop, I think you'd be throwing the caution
so
pretty
they
quick.
just missed it. I mean, is that like
I think it's what it boils down to. They missed it. So
they just missed it, and that's I mean, again, like maybe is it just possible that there's more cameras, less camera, like something? Yeah. So that was my question there. As far as the throwing the yellow on the Cody Ware deal at the end of the last lap of the race, I'm okay with them not throwing the yellow for that. They just need to dispatch safety crews immediately to him,
mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many cars were after him, and if they, his safety is my number one priority in this. So before it gets stupid on that, but I'm okay with safety crews on the racetrack when the leaders are 20 seconds ahead and they're finishing the race. And nobody is going to be racing back through that part of the track, right? So let them finish the race, and then the safety crews.
They would have if they continued the full. They had a hole in their lap, so they would have come back through there, right?
So so it wasn't after the white?
No, it was 2 laps to go.
Oh, it was 2 laps to go.
Yeah, you got to get context here, buddy. I thought I laid it out.
Oh,
My
you
goodness.
did. You did. So they raced an entire lap while he sat there wedged in, like that.
Well,
like
they
the
went about
leaders
half.
raced past him.
They went to what let the leaders get to like turn 1, turn 2 maybe, and then which would still been 30 seconds before they got, or 40 seconds till they got to where Cody Ware was, and then through the caution. It's just the obvious, contention is one, if they throw it immediately, it goes into overtime, right? Which I, as a competitor in SVG's position, I would appreciate the chance to just finish a race, right? Naturally, at that point, it's run green for excessive amount of time, and he has a huge lead, and it's just like, okay, that's it. That's not really how they officiate, though, right? Their position on officiating like that is if it necessitates a caution, then a caution comes out. No matter where, regardless where the leader is, where the race is, regardless in terms of where the leader is in terms of the race and his positioning there. Obviously, if the leader was coming back to where the incident is, that's different, right? But their point being is that they don't decide cautions, whether it's, with the competition side, it's all safety, right?
Mhm.
So if they had seen this wreck in time and saw how it happened, this
They should've
probably
thrown the
goes into
yellow.
an overtime finish, right?
All right. Yeah, they should have thrown the yellow.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty common consensus. I haven't been able to speak to them yet. I'll have that chance tomorrow in a competition meeting on Wednesday. And, I'm sure from this, like each and every time, there's thoughts of, hey, how can we do this better? It needs to be done better, that sort of thing. And I think that's, sort of the response most likely. But it's just, and to your point, it most likely just continues to show like, hey, if there's more resources needed to understand what's happening on a course with this many turns and this large, then we've got to figure that out, right?
It's funny though to think that NASCAR likely has more people and more resources up there right now than they've ever had.
Probably, yeah. More technology for sure.
I'm just trying to understand how the corner workers didn't notify the one that nearly got his hand ripped off by Cody Ware snapping the blue flag out of his hand. How that didn't get up the tower that somebody just came in at 100 miles per hour, and it took 35 seconds for them to figure that out.
It's a good question. I don't have an answer. I will probably learn this week. I guarantee you I will learn this week. So
It's a good question though to ask.
yeah, it is a good question because and you see the fan videos of obviously that corner work with the blue flag, like waving the flag, and here comes in Cody Ware's car, and you're like, my goodness, that was close. Thankfully, that corner worker did not get contacted by the car. But overall, just a scary incident. I saw Cody Ware afterwards, and he was definitely a bit shooken up. Overall was okay, but he was like, man, it was an incredibly hard hit. And I heard some things, I don't have this confirmed, that possibly it's like the hardest frontal impact G load in the next gen car so far,
Mhm.
or at least this year. So pretty major hit for sure.
If you could make a street oval course, what shape would it be? Like,
Oh,
how
you're
would
just gonna
you?
jump that far ahead?
Well, that's the next thing, isn't it?
No, it's not really the next thing.
Well, let's just jump ahead. Who cares? The listeners don't know what our order is. They don't care.
I know. I just wanted to call you out on it. He's way ahead in our rundown. So to that point, what you just brought up, Denny Hamlin in his media conference this past weekend said he suggests NASCAR try a street oval, basically a rectangular street course. All we need is acceleration, heavy braking points, and turns. We'll find a way to make a show out of that. So it's funny. We were at an event. They did a cool little party from the Chicago Sports Commission with NASCAR on Friday in Chicago. And I actually got a chance to speak to Ben Kenny for a bit. And we were just talking about all sorts of things and how much we love the street course. And somehow the street oval came up. And I was like, hey, man, what about just like street oval? I was like, so I don't know. Denny I don't remember him being there or near me. But then the next day he says that. And I was like, man, it must be something that a lot of us
It's going
are thinking
around.
about. Yeah. Here's my thought on the street oval. I would be curious. I think there's so many places you could do it. Obviously, the footprint would be incredibly smaller than a street course, right? I think the next step of that would be even one above what he described and even cooler is if you could come up with a way to create banking in the corners. Imagine remember the old like early 1900s boardwalk tracks? You ever seen those? They were like wooden board slats that
but now you're getting to a point where cars are going 100 miles an hour through a corner. Like,
yeah, but hold on, just bear with me for a second.
Okay, I'm listening.
So then do that, but what's the modern day version of that where they can build asphalt banked that's removable, and it kind of like is a crazy design, or you can mess with the design each year and change it up, that sort of thing. I think it'd be badass.
Well, I mean, they built a temporary oval inside with banking, not much, but in the LA Coliseum.
There you go. But how could you have real banking?
I don't know. That would be interesting. I guess it depends on how big and fast you want it to be. Right?
True. Yeah.
So I'm picturing, I don't know, a street oval. Like I'm picturing, you're looking at some big park like that and going, okay, how do we take some of these roads and just only do left-hand turns, and it makes sense of a racetrack, right? Like, imagine, I'm not suggesting we do this around buildings in New York, but it's like, imagine, parts of New York where like Broadway is at an angle compared to the other, roads. So it's like, okay, so you could have one sort of, one end of the track is 2 90-degree turns or close to 90-degree turns. Then the other end of the track is, a really sharp hairpin.
Yep, I like that.
And it's maybe kind of half to 3/4 of a mile long total. Would that be a fun little racetrack?
Hell yeah. They'd be awesome.
Right? So where could
cool.
you do that? Like, in what city could you do that in a park? And the reason I say park is because I think if it's an oval, would you want to do it in a way that you could see the whole racetrack? Right? Like, the reason I walked myself off of, it being in New York is like, well, if you do it in buildings, you can't see the whole track, right?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Like, so do you need to be able to see the whole track, or like, could you do it around building? I mean, gosh, the poor people that occupy those buildings, we like, imagine how much people hate it in Chicago. Be like, it's race weekend. I hear race cars going by every minute and a half. I hear race cars go by. It's like, imagine just being the poor guy. This building is in the middle of the street oval.
It's just a constant motors going by.
4 hours.
Basically, like living inside the middle of Bristol.
Oh my god! Oh god, it would be horrible. So
So,
yeah, so
yeah.
I'm like thinking, okay, so could you make an oval racetrack in those parks, those huge park areas, or in an open area, and then bleachers around it and stands and all that stuff.
I think
And that's
anything's
tough.
possible.
um,
Anything's
And
possible.
what's the admission need to be? Because then you're congesting a lot more people in a smaller area. It still would be interesting. Anything is definitely possible. Absolutely. I love the idea though. And I think you could do something really creative. I don't know about the banking. I think that's
Hater.
a whole nother
Hater.
well, the thing is, like, I wonder if you could do it without banking. Like, why does it need banking? What if, what about just really uniquely shaped turns and little PJ1, and you just create a multi-groove racetrack?
Yeah, possibly. The only thing I would say is if you wanted to make it, if you had to do it in a very condensed area and wanted to still have some speed, as opposed to maybe the Coliseum, which they're not going that fast, right? To have them going pretty quick. Like at Chicago Street Course, we're doing over 140 miles an hour down the backstretch.
I
That's
think that
cooking.
I think that you would. I would like to see some decent top speeds, but also like I still think the corner speeds need to be down.
Yeah.
I would like to see lower corner speeds. I'd like to see it, long straightaways and then just a really tight corner, under 100-mile-an-hour corner speeds.
God, that'd be cool.
And it's still pretty fast, but
It would be cool.
It
would be like
it would definitely be cool.
it would be like one of the corners would end up being like Martinsville.
Well, and imagine too if
but
they
from
did
a way heavier, higher speed.
just imagine if the barrier on the inside was the wall, right?
Yeah.
An oval track with a wall like walls on both sides. Oh my god!
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Imagine the carnage.
I think that would be really cool. I think there's so many possibilities with what they've done in Chicago and how, for that being a street course, it just felt so condensed and it doesn't, all the stuff you read about it being disruptive or whatever. I mean, I just don't see it. Like I saw plenty of people living their normal lives as that weekend was going on. And so much as
Right.
like the cup race is happening and our TV compound is right at the edge of the track. And there's a guy just jogging around everywhere, the normal park,
Right.
just going around. And I'm like,
Right.
this disrupted nothing, right? So
The other thing you could do on track design on this oval too is it could still have a little bit of an element of a right-hand turn.
so you know what
Right.
you're designing.
What?
So okay. I wasn't sure if we could talk about this, but I'll just bring it up. So I got asked all week, where else would you put a street course? And I've been droning on about this for a while. And I think there's a place you could do it in the financial capital of the world, my favorite city in the world, New York City. And that's down in the financial district because in the summer, from Thursday at 4 p.m. till Monday morning, no one's there. It's a ghost town. And I didn't know this until someone showed it to me. Travis Okolski used to be the editor of Road and Track, good car journalist. And he was like, hey, man, I'm pretty sure CART tried to do that. And I was like, what? And so he sent me this stuff from the web archive of CART trying to do this in the early 90s. And actually the guy who was like the heading up a lot of it was a young Chip Ganassi post his driving career. And they had a course design down in basically the World Trade Center area that it's like a kidney bean, sort of thing. So it's but it's skinnier and it has sort of like maybe longer than a hairpin corner. And then like one of the areas it goes, inwards, almost like a right hander. Right. And they were going to do a race down there. And I was like, well, damn, we could do that. Why not?
I'm looking at Lower Manhattan right now.
I was like, what is he doing?
Sorry,
I'm telling you, there's a little park there to the left side. You see it? You could
Which park?
easily do it right there. Right on the to the left side of Fight Eye in the World Trade Center area.
Hmm.
You could do it. It's a ghost town in the summer weekends. Total ghost town. Although
Right.
they
It's called Ben
added
Kennedy.
some like
Let's end the
beer
show right now and call
drinking
Ben
areas.
Kennedy.
What's that?
Let's end the show right now and call Ben Kennedy.
I pitched it to him this weekend.
We're
Actually,
gonna make this happen.
Already did it. I hate to blow up the spot because I'm like, whatever. But I've already been very open about it in like 100 different interviews. So we'll see. I don't know. What do you think about the Chicago Street Course returning, though? I wish it would. I think it'd be awesome. I think it's been one of the best street courses there is.
It's been great. It's been a great
the
street
world.
course. And I think as long as, I guess if Chicago wants it, I mean, I think we should keep going. Great time of year. Great city.
They want to change the time of year.
They do want to change the time of year? It's too
Yeah.
hot?
The mayor, well, they just said that July 4th weekend presents a lot of challenges because their
Right.
police force and such is being tasked with doing a lot that weekend, right?
Right. I can see that.
I think the course design has been epic. And being the third year,
we just
you know,
need
I
to
was
go back
kind
to
of,
Daytona in July.
well, what I was wondering about the third year was, is it going to be like more subdued, that sort of thing? And man, I didn't feel it. I mean, it still had a ton of enthusiasm. If anything, I felt like there was like, I don't have any data to back this up other than anecdotal evidence, but like even the hotels and the restaurants I went to just seemed even more full. And the hotels were even like more prepared for it in some respects. Like I was doing something through the hotel and they're just
interesting.
like, "Are you here for NASCAR? Oh, cool. Like, yeah, it's great. You guys are back, blah, blah." And like they just knew about it. 'Cause I remember the first year was kind of like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Right.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting how that stuff works. You know, I also wonder if if this could be the type of theme that NASCAR has within its schedule that rotates venues like a major championship,
Okay.
where they have like 5 different cities that they rotate street races every year, and like Chicago gets it once every 5 years. I mean, that's really long term. That's like big picture thinking, but like I don't know, it'd
That's a
be
big
kind of cool if
undertaking.
I I
they're trying to do something like that.
I thought about this a lot when I was going to Long Beach earlier this year of what makes a sustainable street course. And I
Mhm.
feel like it happening every year is something that makes it sustainable. When you start to make it not happen, or it's like a very new street course, you almost always get that public backlash. But like Long Beach, Monaco, those races, as they start to build the footprint, like, hey, we're here this weekend every single year, the just culture around the city changes to like just expect that. And I almost feel like you just gotta commit to building a foundation to do it every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like you're correct because they learned that the sky isn't going to fall. Because if you look at like all the press and everything, it goes into the first of a street course. It's all the not in my backyard people. They're just like, "Oh my god, my life is going to end. This is going to be terrible. Cars should be flying into the street and into buildings and all sorts of things." And then they find out like none of that happens, right? And like I can tell you, there was people who asked, and I won't say who told me this, but some people that worked on the race, they were like, "You wouldn't believe the questions we got in the first year, which were like, hey, so like, are these cars just gonna like fly into our building?" And they were like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, that road there comes towards our building. Like, are they just gonna like fly into the building?" It was like, no, they're not gonna like you defy physics, sure. But like that's the type of stuff that they just don't understand, right? And then you prove it over a couple of years, to your point, Josh, and it sort of is like, oh, that's not so bad. It's not as disruptive as I thought it'd be. It's not the end of the world. This thing can continue, right? It's good for the city, good for the sport. We'll keep it going. So, and I think the last thing, Landon, to your point about moving around, what would be tough about that is I do know NASCAR really ingrained itself into the city to pull this off. You know, they have an office there that has, I believe, 16 people in it full time that work solely on this race, right? And working with the city and the planning and zoning and
Who has
all
an office of 16 people?
NASCAR in Chicago
Oh,
during this whole time.
jeez.
So like they get
year
very,
round?
yeah, so they get very like into the city, right? And I just think to
Wow.
move around year to year would be really tough in that sense, right? Because the
That's a good
infrastructure.
point.
But that's how they're able to pull it off. But think about all the interest groups and all the planning and everything it takes and how, let's be honest, how slow government moves. You have to have that footprint and that infrastructure in the city to pull these things off.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're without it. I know people have with IndyCar and that sort of thing. I just don't know how successful it'll be, right, in terms of getting the town support, especially a market like Chicago, or if we're talking New York City, or say like I know Long Beach, but if you were trying to do it in like downtown LA, that sort of thing, I mean, you're gonna just the
How many people do you think F1
government alone.
employs in Vegas for the
I don't know.
Vegas
It's a good
race
question.
alone?
It's a good question. Well, they built a whole building
Right.
and bought tons of
They
land.
basically have a headquarters there.
Yeah, so I'd say a fair amount.
They treat it. That is actually kind of crazy to think of it. That like they don't own a track. There is no racetrack, but they invested in real estate and in a headquarters on the Vegas Strip to be able to activate the Vegas race.
Yeah, pretty
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Let's move on. I want to talk quickly just about SVG, in the fact that if you look at this race weekend in Mexico, and I had this discussion with some people that work very closely with drivers on their prep and that sort of thing, and I made this comment in the post race. If you are a full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver who somewhat even remotely thinks you are decent at road courses, if you are not getting to work right now on trying to beat this guy and what it takes and studying and using any tool available to figure this out, then you're not doing your job, because this guy at these newer tracks is obviously in another zip code. Wins Mexico by 16 seconds. This weekend was absolutely dominant. The only car that even looked remotely close to him in speed was Michael McDowell, who unfortunately had an issue there with the throttle cable. And I know Michael was probably really proud of being able to get to the lead and lead a lot of laps and hold off SVG, but it's just there's a consistent 3 to 5 tenths sitting in SVG's pocket right now.
Mm.
That is just unbelievable.
Particularly at these tracks it'll be interesting to see what happens at Sonoma.
And he hasn't done Cup at Sonoma.
Right.
No.
So now you're going to yes, it's a road course, but you're going to a track that these drivers have been racing at for decades. Right? Like you take even a driver like Joey Logano, who's young, right?
Yep.
Age-wise, but he's been racing at Sonoma for 15 years.
Yeah, that's right. Jeez.
Like
Wow. Time flies.
guys run a lot of races there. So with success too, relative to the Cup Series. So it's just it's the SVG's advantage really shines at these tracks that there's a level playing field of experience. Mexico, Chicago. I mean, even Coda, it's like he's fast, but we've been racing at Coda for a couple years now. Right? So Watkins Glen, Sonoma, those are interesting venues because cup drivers have so much experience. I think they've got their skills honed a little bit more for those tracks. But just what the point that I'm making here is that SVG is, and we know this, he's a more well-rounded road course racer. So when you plop him on a track that nobody else knows, that guy can figure it out because how he made his living.
He is definitely the best stock car road racer in the world, and by far the most experienced stock car street course racer in all of NASCAR. So those two things are definitely true, and it makes sense as to why his dominance. It's why he's there at Trackhouse, and you'd say it's working for him. One last crazy thing on him. I was talking to some people that had done the math, and if he continues to, say, rack up stage wins and or wins, he could effectively roll into the playoffs with an immense amount of playoff points. That could almost in a lot of ways make it tough for him to fall out in the first round. The second round has the Charlotte Roval. He gets into the next round. He could find himself in the championship for it, Phoenix.
That would be legendary.
Like,
Talk about
imagine he
hacking the
walks.
system.
Yeah, imagine he walks in there
29th
20
in points
plus.
right now.
What's that?
Is he 29th in points right now?
Oh, I don't even know right now. but he's got to be, yeah, somewhere down there. And like I mean, he could have what 20,
He's
25,
27th.
and he could have 20, 25 playoff points.
How many does he have right now?
11.
11. So
Because did he win both stages in Mexico?
no, he wouldn't have won. Maybe one of the stages. Maybe the first one, the way that one played out.
Did he,
if I remember
what
correctly.
stages did he win in Chicago this weekend?
Stages this time, did he win the first one? No, McDowell won the first one. He pitted. And then I don't think he won either of these. So he's got 1 and 2 wins, which are 5 points each, playoff points each for the wins. And then he got 1 stage win at Mexico. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's fascinating. Say he racks up 2 more wins. Road courses.
Where would he get the, so Watkins Glen and Sonoma?
Yeah. It's compelling.
Yeah.
So, he was damn close to winning Watkins Glen last year in that great duel Busher.
That's true.
So there's a path. There's a path. And then
I'm sure he'll be fast in Sonoma. I mean, Ambrose was really, really good at Sonoma.
yeah, but not with the repave. But I mean, he did win the Xfinity race last year. He was greatly fast. So I was P2 to him in practice, and then I was not on par with him in the race.
Do you think he excels at road courses where you can't just run off as far as the eye can see, like Parker does, and can that Parker loves that you love, just use all that runoff? Do you think he excels? No, I apologize. Excels at those tracks where there is a wall on that runoff area that other drivers have to drive conservatively because they know they are more prone to making a mistake and hitting that wall. Whereas Shane,
Probably,
with his experience like at Bathurst and all there, can really.
it definitely seems, if you just look at face value, I mean, seems like street courses are the most tailored to his wheelhouse and his experience. I mean, not only do NASCAR drivers have less road course experience as SVG, they have way less street course experience, which is not just the walls and the track limits, but also the ability to sort of feel the pavement on a street course versus a road track, right?
I think you're both wrong.
What do you think it is?
I don't think it's either of those things. I think
He's
it's
just good.
He's really good. I think he has his braking potential is better because of what he does with the right foot braking in terms of being able to utilize the clutch on downshifts and effectively utilize the clutch as a tool to slow the car down appropriately and not lock the rears, allowing him to get maximum braking potential as opposed to everyone else can't hit his same level of braking potential. So that gives you more leeway in brake zones at places.
How much do you think he slips the clutch through the braking zone?
A ton. It's if you go to a V8, watch supercars, Australian supercars, and watch their feet, you'll see times where it's very minute, but they like let the clutch out and like let it rejoin and they use it as a tool. And they're doing it. It's so second nature to them. They do it automatically, right? Like it's not something he's doing consciously. It's just like he knows how to use what he's feeling and how to do that. And no one else is doing that. So it's so funny.
Are there any drivers that are trying that right now?
Not that I know of. I know guys have tried in the sim. Everyone has tried it in the sim. I tried it in the sim. I just never had the balls to do it in real life in a 15-minute practice.
But I mean, is it like, okay, let's say that I'm completely off the radar right now. I'm not racing at the moment, running a car dealership. I've got plans to run COTA next year in the Chicago street course. Got some sponsorship. Without anybody's knowledge, I'm just doing my own thing. I am every single week going to take a GT350R up to Road America. I'm going to put it on an open trailer. We're going to go to Road America during the summer, and I'm going to do nothing but right foot brake, driving a Mustang around Road America. Is that what I should be doing right now? Is that what every
1,000%.
Cup driver.
I
mean,
think
it's
you
like,
should.
I
I think
get they tried him in the sim, but
Yep.
like the sim is still the sim, and it might help with some of the muscle memory. But like, you know, hell, shoot, maybe we could do it. You could do it in your iRacing sim, right? If you have 3 pedals, just to get muscle memory, just get that cadence going. But like, should I be just 3 days a week taking a Mustang up to Road America right now? And
well, shit. First of all, yes, but then second of all,
should be
no
doing
matter
that anyways.
no matter the intention, what I would say is yes. But I think the thing you have to remember is it's got to be a race car braking system and such. See, I drive a manual car on the street
Well,
predominantly.
is it a TA2 car? Like, does that get you close enough?
I think that would get you way closer. Yep, way closer. And I
Because
think
it's
you
got the
need to,
sequential gearbox and
yeah, and you need to get used to like where the pedal location is. And the other thing you have to, the hardest thing for you is going to be braking, getting that dexterity and feel of braking with your right foot, right?
yes,
And then using,
that's been one of my struggles before because I don't have that. Like I have, we all have that small twitch muscle memory to be able to modulate a pedal, but doing it with your right foot, that's like trying to throw a hammer with your left hand if you're right-handed.
100%. That's exactly what, and it's so weird because like when I thought about it last year, I was like, well, I drive manual cars on the street where I right foot brake and heel and toe, and I know how to do all that, and
Yeah,
I've been
but not
doing
at
it
the
since I
limit.
was 15 years old. But to your point, if I head off into a corner super hard to brake, I'm going to always feel like, man, I didn't maximize that braking zone if I'm right foot braking, right? And so
Right.
I've got to get to where I feel like I could maximize that braking zone to the level that my left foot could. And then you have to get to some of the real intricate parts of what he does, where he gets the car slowed up earlier and has an earlier min speed because and it can be almost minute differences. But remember, he has to then transfer his foot from the brake to the throttle, whereas we're overlapping with our feet, right?
Right.
And like in oatmeal racing, the overlap under braking is one of the most important things because you want to start braking at the time that the car has the most downforce, right? For him, there's always this natural delay. And if you want to go really deep dive on the difference between right foot and left foot braking in oatmeal car, you can go research Rubens Barrichello versus Michael Schumacher in the early 2000s in F1, where Rubens Barrichello was a right foot braker and Michael was a left foot braker. And they did all these deep dives, and Rubens loses like fractions of a second having to transfer his foot from the throttle pedal to the brake, right?
Mhm.
Well, SVG is doing that in a car where it's not nearly as much, as close, right, in terms of maximizing downforce and braking and that sort of thing. But he does sort of change how he approaches the corners in terms of min speed point and that sort of thing, because naturally he has to give his self time, and it's a fraction of a second to go from brake to throttle, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's another intricate part of it that is pretty tough. Now, if you want to say, well, can you compete with him left foot braking? We've seen AJ Allmendinger compete with him for sure. We've seen others compete with him. Michael McDowell was, as fast as him in the first stage, if not faster. And to that point in the Xfinity race, Connor Zilisch really gave him a run for his money, to the point where in the last restart, Shane used some serious elbows out contact to take the lead back in a move that people discussed, was it fair or foul? I mean, it looked like stock car racing to me. And I know Connor admitted that he probably thought they were going to race a little bit cleaner, being, teammates and that sort of thing. And I think he now learned a lesson that SVG is willing to do what it takes to win. And in doing so, got the win that he so desperately wanted. But the other thing is, it kind of proves that in the right moments, if you are left foot braking, you can be competitive with him, right? But he seems to have what I go to is that word potential, which is his potential is higher in terms of braking efficiency and slowing the car down and getting it pointed than people that are left foot braking.
I and to kind of finish like that, you wrapped a really nice bow around that whole thing. But to kind of finish that is to say the reason he has that potential is because how he works the clutch, right? Because he's you don't believe he's doing anything different with a brake. He's not doing anything different with throttle blipping, anything. It's literally he's right foot braking, which is giving his left foot the ability to use the clutch. It's an additional tool. Is something that you and I don't have access to because we left foot brake.
Yep. Oh, and one last thing, he does use the brake valve a ton over a lap.
Have you tried in iRacing to use a hand clutch on road courses to be able to do that with your hands?
No.
Like, I obviously couldn't do that in a real car. I'm wondering if that's something you could do in iRacing in the Cup cars on road courses. Instead of right foot braking, just set up a hand clutch.
Maybe. I think I want to try it now. Maybe my next truck race is Watkins Glen. Should I just right foot brake?
In the truck? Just commit to it. Go run 25th.
Go run 25th. Like, sorry, boys.
It's like, I'm committing to this.
15-minute practice. We're just doing it live.
Why is Parker lifting at the 7? It's like, wow.
And I almost have to try. I'm going to try. I mean, if we get a cool down lap, I'm going to try some of it a little bit. I thought, in the Xfinity car last year, I also struggled a lot with our brakes anyway, the brakes that we ran in those cars. So I wasn't super confident in that sense anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Just the first race car I ever drove was Skip Barber cars, and you had to right foot brake and use the clutch. And so I can remember as early as 8th grade. So when I first did it, I would sit in class and literally heel and toe under my desk, trying to remind myself how to do it. So it's such so. And the last thing on this, by the way, what's so funny is that racing. If you want to know how cool stock car racing is, racing progressed to where if in an F1 car you right foot brake, you'd be insane. An Indycar, whatever, right? Even high level prototypes, that sort of thing, it just wouldn't make any sense. And sort of right foot braking and using the clutch has disappeared from all the forms of racing, besides Australian supercars and now NASCAR.
Yeah,
where
it's
like
optional
the old
in NASCAR, but it's like the guy that wins everything does it. Nobody else does.
Nobody else does.
It's so funny.
So crazy.
One more. I don't want to dwell on this, but it's like,
I think Josh is going to kill us if we stay on this longer.
Well, I just think of a lot of things like Max Pappas, who did really well in NASCAR race cars at the couple or on road courses. I guess I can't pull his stats off the top of my head on how he did at the cup level, but I mean, he did really well in Xfinity. Won, he won in Montreal, driving the 09 car, I think, for Robbie Benton.
No, you're thinking that
was
Boris.
Boris?
That was Boris.
Did Max win anything? Like, I know Max was a right foot breaker.
Well, Boris was too, I'm pretty sure.
And I just wonder, how they would do in these things.
Well, I mean, I don't think I think that Marcus Ambrose was, right? He just didn't have the only problem Marcus had is he didn't have the amount of road courses that Shane has on offer now.
Right. And neither did they, because their only options were Watkins Glen and Sonoma. And
the guys, to your point, NASCAR been going to those for 20 years, and Watkins Glen's probably the least road course there is. It's the most closest to an oval of a road course.
Like, I don't care who you are. You're going to beat Jeff Gordon at Watkins Glen?
Hell no. And the car matters the most, that sort of thing. But when you think about where SVG has done so well, it's like Chicago street course, Mexico, brand new course, right? Like it's...
Right. Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like, gosh, you think Max is just sitting here going, God, if I give me one shot in that next gen at Mexico City.
Maybe. I think it's we're also, I don't think we should discredit that Shane is also just an insanely talented race car driver, right?
For sure.
And
very good.
That he obviously, what do I think it's an advantage and that he obviously has a feel for it? Yes, but he's also just a really damn good race car driver.
Right. He's also the best out of the guys that do drive like that.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
There you go.
Not only does he drive like that.
He's the best in Australian supercars, 3-time champ, won a bajillion races, was the clear-cut best driver there. Like, it's obvious, right? He's also just insanely good race car driver. So, hey, let's talk the best F1 race of the year, Silverstone. There was sort of wet conditions, then torrential downpours, then wet conditions again, all sorts of craziness. Max Verstappen spinning out a second. You have drivers running into the back of each other. Isaac Hadjar ran in the back of someone I can't remember.
Antonelli.
Antonelli. You had teammate on teammate offenses of the Haas. It was just an absolute wild affair. Piastri brake checked the field under caution and got a 10-second penalty. Lando Norris ends up coming out on top, but the guy I want to focus on has done 239 starts in Formula One, but had never had a podium, and that is Nico Hulkenberg, who finally gets a podium. It is 200.
I was proud for the guy.
I mean, unbelievable. Here's the craziest thing. You think about like how hard it is to be in NASCAR or in Indycar or F1 at the highest level, and you've got to have some successes in there, right? But this guy not only kept a seat and was in and out, but continually provided value at a high level to these teams, having never won a race and never even been on the podium. And I find that a very interesting thing. And he finally was rewarded for it. Real stick-to-itiveness. You know, we can all learn. There's your lesson, Landon.
It is. I love that. I love that. I mean, I feel like that was very. I felt like I could relate to that, unfortunately. But on the on the positive side, of what you were saying, it's just like, you don't just, people end up in those rides for whatever various reasons. They have sponsorship or some kind of obscure support, or they had a lot of blue sky behind them at one point, and then they don't make it and they were a big bust or whatever. But you don't end up at that level for that long for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. That's what, that's one of my proudest things that I could stand behind in NASCAR for myself. Is like, yeah, I maybe didn't get the rides that I'd wanted or the wins I wanted, but it's like, you don't run 600 NASCAR races nearly for no reason. And yourself
provided value.
included. Right. And
Right.
so
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. It was cool to see that for him.
I loved it. That was great.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And he was very happy and emotional about it, but also very like based about it too at the same time.
What do you mean?
Because it's just like, I don't know. I just felt like I guess I feel like I saw a quote or saw a response from him. I can't remember if it was like about his kids or something like. Anyways, I don't know. I just saw something where it was just like he was maybe a little stoic about it.
Hey, that's back again.
Stoic.
Well, I thought it was a great race. The championship has sort of gotten away from Max Verstappen as the McLaren duo have gotten further and further away. I think the two drivers from McLaren are separated by 9 points, I want to say, with Lando Norris winning that one. So it's tight at the top. McLaren has a very awkward position going forward of having to decide between these two. They're going for this world championship. And I think it's going to get very contentious, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Is it kind of crazy to think that F1, and I don't know if maybe this is not on their mind at all, but F1's culture is typically like, we have a number one, we have a number two. This is the guy we want to win. This is the guy that we don't want to win, and now that it's all sort of formulating in a certain manner, are they going to let him race it out? Is there a team or is it like, we want Lando to be the world champion? And like McLaren is literally in a position that they could choose, right?
Yeah, like, teams have been here before, but McLaren has been very adamant about allowing them to race and the whole papaya rules thing and everything, right? So it's going to get really interesting. And I mean, history will tell you this will get really testy. And these two will become
these teammates,
bitter enemy rivals within this team, and the meetings will get interesting. And if it hasn't happened already, it's going to get really intense. So
what would it take for that to actually threaten? I mean, they've got over a 238 point lead in the constructors.
Standings. Yeah, I mean, they're fine.
Yeah. How many races are left?
So they'll let them race it out, but it's what will get decided sometimes is like, hey, whoever outqualifies the other, they're on the number one strategy, right? Or, if they're holding you up, pass them, right? But don't take each other out. So it's just like, I don't know.
We got 11 races left.
11
Gosh, that's
left.
a long ways.
Oh yeah, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Josh, you saw the F1 movie. Neither.
Oh
and
yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
No, I haven't either. What's the review, Josh?
So the review is, here's what I'm going to tell you. Go into it. You're watching an F1 movie. Just a movie. Put that first and foremost. F1 second, movie first. You're going to have a great time. If you go into it expecting to see a docudrama on Formula One, you're going to be disappointed. That's not what it is, but it is an incredible cinematography masterpiece worth watching. And they do things that I think I've seen my buddy and I do on the F1 game in order to win championships. And stuff like that. So it's entertaining. I feel like this last race was a perfect, like, it essentially what happened in this last race is like just basically how those guys like to race. So it'll be entertaining. Very, very fun. I akined it to if you watch Dale Earnhardt get put into an F1 car. You would have if you think that would be fun to watch, you'll enjoy the movie.
Rock on. All right. That
There
did
you
make
go.
me somewhat want to see it. No, I've already wanted to see it. It just hasn't worked out time wise. But next week's my week. It's gonna happen. Gonna see it next week. IndyCar for the first time this season. Landon, we have a big deal that occurred there. Someone not named Alex Palou or Kyle Kirkwood won a race. It was Scott Dixon. 21 straight seasons that he has won a race in IndyCar. Talk about longevity. Talk about stick-to-itiveness. This guy, he is unbelievable. Good comment.
Seriously.
Thanks.
Well, no, it's good. I didn't know I needed to go off of that one. Didn't we just sort of have this same? I think I was getting deja vu. Did he not just win a few weeks ago? And we had
No.
the same reaction.
This is the first race this year that neither of those two have won.
Where did we obsess over Scott Dixon?
I think
A few
he
weeks
was
ago.
doing Scott Dixon things at
Yeah.
some point.
And it was just
He
like,
does.
Jesus, criminy.
His
The thing that where
longevity is
I had the
unbelievable.
realization is that I'm pretty sure he started in IndyCar around the same time Jimmy Johnson started in NASCAR.
He did. It was the same year, basically.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like, and Jimmy, God bless. I think we had this conversation already on the show, but I mean, Jimmy had a full career, 7 championships, retired, bought a team, came back, races part time. Travels to Europe once a month. Like, is living his life, and Scott Dixon's just over here still grinding, just doing it, still winning.
Still winning, baby. And what's crazy, you see him do an interview. I mean, the guy doesn't look older than 28 years old.
No,
Like,
I know.
it's unbelievable.
Handsome
He's not
a
aging.
handsome devil.
Yeah. He's literally not aging. So kudos to you, Scott Dixon. You're the man. I have immense respect for that man's skills and his ability and stick-to-itiveness. Somebody in the IndyCar series that does not have respect or skills for another driver would be our buddy Connor Daly. He got run off the track by Santino Ferrucci, who also ran himself off the track in doing so, which Connor was quick to point out on X and said this clown literally drove himself off the track trying to make sure he wrecked me at Santino Ferrucci. Brilliant as always. A little bit of controversy. Yeah. Who's team you
Santino.
on?
I don't know. I kind of like them both, but I'm on Team Connor. I like Santino because I enjoyed racing with him in NASCAR.
Yeah. He's a good dude as well.
He's all right.
I'm not sure what side I'm on, but it was an interesting.
I'm on Team
Deal.
Connor in the same way that you would support your buddy in a bar fight,
Yeah.
where it's like he doesn't
sounds-
have to be right. I'm just going in with him.
Yep. Hey man, that was fun. So what were we fighting about?
Don't talk to my buddy like that. Wow. What happened, man?
Jeez. Let's go into our picks this weekend. What do we got, Josh?
You got NASCAR in wine country. Come on over, say hey to me. We'll be hanging
Hello.
out there.
I'll be there.
And then Landon, I entirely expect to be out at the IndyCar race in Iowa.
Oh, it's IndyCar in Iowa this weekend. Cup, Sonoma Road Course. I'm just gonna go with SVG. Xfinity, put me down for SVG. Trucks, are they at Sonoma too?
No, trucks aren't racing, but I noted that you've already written down SVG for trucks too.
Where's Formula One racing?
They're not, but I also noted that you've written down
SVG.
Yeah.
Okay. And then IndyCar is racing in Iowa. I'll do SVG for that one too.
Okay.
He's gonna fly back to Iowa.
Oh my god.
Who's good at Iowa? Who's good at Iowa in the IndyCar?
Connor Daly's badass in the ovals.
Oh, let's do Daly. It's his time.
He almost won. He was damn well in the conversation at Gateway.
He just needs to make it happen.
Then the Alex Pillow, Kyle
And
Kirkwood
I never
weekend.
pick him, so it's just time.
Yeah, well, that was my pick. Cup. I'm going to say, who am I picking for Cup? All the stats tell you it's Kyle Larson, but he's been on a real downer since IndyCar. By the way, real downer since the Indy 500 and that whole debacle that weekend. He has not been the Kyle we know, so I'm not going to pick him. I picked AJ this past weekend. He was looking good midway through, and then he majorly let me down. I'm going to go Ty Gibbs in Cup.
Damn it, you stole my pick, man.
Oh, first time winner gets it done finally. And Xfinity, is SVG doing Xfinity?
Yes, he is.
I'm going to take SVG.
Wow, interesting.
Yep.
It's brutal.
And IndyCar, I'm going to take SV. No, I'm kidding. I will take Connor Daly.
All right. There you go. Like those. Nice picks. I'm going to go with McDowell for Cup. I think he's going to get a good set of retribution. I think also Zilich is going to close out the Xfinity race. For some reason, I'm feeling Zilich. I'm feeling that. And then IndyCar, I think we're going to see 2 new weeks, 2 new winners. Joseph Newgarden is going to win.
Bam.
In Iowa.
Wait, is it a doubleheader in Iowa?
No, I don't think so.
Because they do that doubleheader thing one time.
I don't think they're doing that this year.
Check it out, but no new Apple reviews. On Spotify, I'm just going to rip through these, Lando.
It is.
Oh, it is a doubleheader.
I lied.
Need 2 winners.
Well, I knew it was a doubleheader. I wanted Connor Daly to win both.
We are the most informed in the motorsports world. Don't you worry. All right, well then, yeah, put me in for Connor Daly on both. Domination on the weekend.
Maybe that's why our listeners actually like us, because they're like, we're just like them. Where it's like, where's the race this weekend? Okay, cool. We'll talk about that.
I just found it out. If they only knew that the only reason I even know what race is next in NASCAR half the time is that I've either gotten an alert from the airlines app where I'm headed, or I've gotten an email that says, hey, we have a call on Tuesday about this X race. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We're going there. Good to know.
It happens, man.
There's a lot of races in this deal. All right, well, I'm sticking with my picks. Daly to sweep.
All right. Okay. I'll go with Pato Award, just so we have a reason to have 2 graphics and we don't get people saying, there's 2 races in the comments.
That would be funny too. Renee on Spotify said, haha, when I lived in Mooresville / Cornelius, I worked as a manager for Harris Teeter. All of my days off were odd, like y'all's. Guess that's why I ran into Casey Kane everywhere I went, or would see drivers that's Rusty Rudder on Wednesday nights. You definitely saw me there, Renee. Jacob Bork says, once again, a top tier show by the boys. Love this shit, bro. Appreciate that. On YouTube, Get Lauderdale PI algorithm. When you get the Klig, come on algorithm. Landon Cassill scored the gig. Get that money lap feeling in your bones. Put slicks on the car and get going. Algorithm. When you get the Klig. Okay, that's it.
You're supposed to sing that.
I was supposed to sing that. I thought it was a poem. Landon Cassill, you are now the 99 for Trackhouse.
From Noah of Babylon.
I think you are the number now. You're not the driver. You are.
Okay.
I chatted with Justin Marks post the race in the hotel
Maya
lobby.
Catherine
He didn't mention that.
Creative says, always here for an office reference. Check out Maya Catherine Creative for all of her creative work.
And for the office reference.
And for office reference.
Good times. Well, we started this about an hour later than we were supposed to because
We
you were in
finished on
Valley
time.
Forge, right?
Yep.
And because of that, I've just seen there's no one in the lobby waiting. They've been here the whole time. Well, they were up until, I'm guessing,
Actually-
30 minutes ago. We were so lost in SVG conversation, it must have pissed them off. But they're no longer here.
I think he left before Landon got here. Landon, did you see him on the way
No,
out?
I thought he was in.
Coming
I
in?
saw him in the thing. It must have gotten frozen. I saw him
Oh.
sitting there. It was Kyle Busch. We apologize. We're going to have to get him next time. That's it. Peace.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Money Lap. If you like this show, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share it with friends. We want to spread the word of great motorsports shows, of which we're somewhere up and around there. I'm not exactly sure where, but nonetheless, you can also reach out to us anytime on across social media or at our website, themoneylap.com, or at our email, friends@themoneylap.com. And of course, you can always leave us a review. 5 stars gets you on this very show. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.